We live in a world where scaffolding has been built around creativity, passion, and human gifts. Today's structures quietly insist that if you have something to share, your art, your voice, your teaching, you must monetize it. The likes, the follows, the subscriptions, the fees, everything becomes transaction. And in that system, people are divided into those who already have more than enough and those who are left without even the basics. But let us pause for a moment and imagine another way. Imagine if the painter gave their work not for profit, not for status, but because painting is what lights their being. And imagine that painting finding a home with someone who cherishes it deeply, who does not need to weigh it against their rent or their bills. Imagine the musician who sings not to fill stadiums, but to fill hearts. Imagine each one of us offering what excites us most, not as survival strategy, but as natural expression. The truth is, this is already how the universe works. The sun shines without sending you an invoice. The trees produce oxygen without charging your account. Rivers do not measure their flow in liters of profit. Giving freely without calculation is the natural state of life. It is only human scaffolding that has convinced us otherwise, convinced us that even to breathe, to drink, to live, we must first pay. What would happen if we remembered? If we all chose to give because we can and to receive because it is natural? The entire vibration of society would shift. Competition would soften into cooperation. Scarcity would dissolve into sufficiency. The pressure to make a living would transform into the joy of simply living. This is not a naive dream. It is the highest form of consciousness, the recognition that we are one system, one organism, one family. When you give to another, you give to yourself. When you receive from another, it is still yourself flowing back. For now, we are still entangled in this scaffolding, still paying for water, still taxed by systems that feed themselves more than they feed the people. But beneath it all, you already know, this is not the true design. The true design is freedom, passion, contribution, and exchange without fear. And here is what makes it relatable to you, the listener. You already live this way in small ways. When you share a smile freely, when you help a neighbor without keeping score, when you cook for a friend, not because they paid you, but because you wanted to give love in the form of food. In those moments, you touch the natural state, the art of giving freely. The scaffolding may still stand for now, but cracks are forming. The new world is not built by tearing the old one down in anger. It is built by living differently, here and now, choosing freely to give what you love without invoice, without condition. Because when you remember that you are like the sun, shining, not because of payment, but because shining is what you are, you have already stepped into that higher reality. And as more of us remember, the scaffolding will simply fall away.